Now, before we officially begin today's video, I'd like to recommend you stop by Outskirts stands if you're low at Pokeballs before taking on the 10th battle. Some time ago, he restocked the stand with some new Pokeballs, several which I find useful for the fights we have up ahead. First thing I think I'm going to grab are the timer balls. I personally love the timer balls. Normally it's very situational where they're actually useful, but in Pokemon Colosseum, don't quote me on this, but I'm fairly certain that the formula for catching Pokemon and what determines the timer ball's multiplier is based per trainer, not for how long the Pokemon set out. So if you're having a really long battle, even if the Shadow Pokemon is not out for a while, a timer ball is much more likely to be used to its fullest potential. And time for something I haven't done in a while that you're gonna love or hate. Yes, it's that time again. It's time for the news. According to authorities, there's a criminal syndicate that's seeking world domination. It is thought to be linked to the rash of reports from various regions about vicious Pokemon. We hope to bring you additional info on this story as we learn more. Godspeed channel out! Greeting interwebs, this is Jackie K, and welcome to another edition of Pokemon Colosseum. In the last episode, or should I say the last few episodes, we made it through Mount Battle after being taken over by Cypher, the bad guys. And today, we shall be moving forward, hopefully to reach Vander before anything possibly bad can happen to him. That intimidating red hair in the background is surely no sign of harm to come to him. We better go check up on the situation, just in case. Sir, I know you're perfectly fine, Mr. Red Hair, but stereotype laws say I have to double check. All that persuading, I still can't get your hand over. This is what happens to stubborn who don't do what I say. Punch. I mean, really, how does he defy Pokemon logic laws? This guy could be an issue if he's not taken care of immediately. He just punched that man in the face without challenging him to a Pokemon battle. Wait, that wasn't even in the face. That poor man got slapped in the crotch. Ouch! Who are you? What are my underlings doing? Besides taking a Pokenap snooze or whatever? Yeah, you kinda don't have them anymore. You kinda just have to deal with us. Yeah, we came to mess with you. What's the worst that could possibly happen? I don't know. And here we have Dakum, the second boss of Pokemon Colosseum, if you're gonna include Mirror B as a boss, which you have to try pretty hard not to include him as a boss. I get the feeling all bosses do this, but yeah, I know for a fact that the Pokemon he leads with changes each time you battle him. Totally not because I had to reset. Yeah, totally because I did have to reset. Nah, I can't even say it's not because I lost to him, because technically I did. But you'll see why I actually lost to the boss. I'll explain it later at the release, because it'll make more sense later on. I should start talking about the boss himself. He does have quite a few things to worry about. Like Earthquake. He loves Earthquake. Then again, he is a giant, bulky man. The only way you can make it more obvious that he loves Earthquake is if you make his hair brown, cover him in leaves, and put a giant sign around his neck that says, "I love the ground." Scratch that. You can do that, but to make it even more obvious than that, cross out the word ground and replace it with Earthquake. I mean, jeez. As you saw in the battle, Dakum will optimize the abilities of Earthquake by using Protect with his partner. One Pokemon does Earthquake, the other does Protect. And a move that would normally damage everyone, including its own ally, only damages the foes it's facing against. It's a pretty devastating combo. Which is why it would be nice if that camera would have gone down to Akuzuka. Sure, Skip Bloom, Fail Plume is gonna resist Earthquake, but Narai's not. I kinda wish the low accuracy would at least allow Narai would miss. Because that's like, that totally should have took it out. It's ground fire, 4 times weak to water. Sure, Akuzuka isn't the most powerful water type move in the world, but really? I guess the fact that he uses fire types at all kinda could be hinted at his red hair. But if they made it brown hair, it might be more obvious that he was an Earthquake user. Oh yes, they're tech. Gonna have a fun story about the tech at the end of this battle. But until now, let's just hope the tech actually does its job at detecting, protecting me from the attacks and all that. I don't know. I kinda have my doubts of the power of the tech after this battle. But hey, it did the job. Even though there was an obvious grass type that could have done that flamethrower on. Good job, Colosseum AI! You are marked! Just like you were before. I know what you're saying right now. Jackie Kate, sure, that might have been a cool switch with the whole setting Skip Bloom to resist the ground attacks, but you really should get that thing out of here now. You can't rely on dumb AI forever until that camera takes out the Skip Bloom. And yes, you're right, that camera should have gone down a long time ago, but hey, it's down now. And I have a special reason why Skip Bloom is out. Oh my gosh, he has a legendary! Did I really just call my jump buff a Skip Bloom? Probably shouldn't have called it Fail Plume. And yes, the legendaries are ours for catching, because why would the bad guys have a legendary Pokemon that we can't take away from them? That would just be unfair. My goal, and let it be known that is a goal, a dream, not a definality. That goal is to put the Entei to sleep with Skip Bloom before Skip Bloom dies. But fun fact, Entei is a fire type. It knows Fire Blast. It can take out a grass type as weak and pathetic as Fail Bloom in one hit. My only hope of salvation is for Fire Blast to miss, because it's not perfect accuracy. But of course luck would not be on my side. It's time for Phase 2, Plan B. Use the Intimidate to lower the Entei's offensive capabilities. Cause it's gonna start Shadow Rushing eventually, and I'm not sure if you know this yet, but Shadow Rush hurts the user when you're trying to get a Pokemon as hard to catch as an Entei to as little health as possible. Any sort of recoil damage that it can give is incredibly unfair. Incredibly annoying to work with at the very least. So let's pray that the tech actually does its job and gives me a little time to stall. Next thing to do. Eventually I'm going to have to send Dark Knight out, because since I lost Fail Plume, I can only paralyze it, hoping that secret power will trigger a side effect, and it will just so happen to be a side effect that paralyzes a Pokemon. First, it's time to dish out the healing items, cause I give up, I have no more shame left. You know, when it comes to battles, I can compromise and say, hey, let's try to do this without healing. But when it comes to snagging the Pokemon, I show no shame in using items. Especially for this game, when you don't have someone as easy as Mirror B to snag the Pokemon if you mess up. You do get a second chance, but it's not until later on in the game. And personally, I find it harder to snag them then. I'd rather just get the snagging out of the way now, even if I have to reset a couple times. And yes, that is the main reason why I've lost to this guy. Sure, sometimes the Entei KO'd itself, other times I spend so much time trying to whittle it down and catch it that the Entei so happens to take out all my Pokemon before I can snag it. It's a lovely process, don't you say? Okay, now that Hypnotop's back to his senses, maybe we can actually do something now. That whole lowering his attack is not going to do much good if it uses a special move like Fire Blast. Remember, in the 3rd generation and below, whether or not a Pokemon's move is special or physical is based on its type and its type alone. The whole things like Flame Charge being a physical move weren't implemented until 4th gen, although I think Flame Charge is a 5th generation move. Kinda weird as the first one that came to mind. I'm probably thinking of something like Flame Bliss. Well, at least now Shadow Rush can't do as much recoil damage because it has a lower attack stat. Yay! Eventually I should get the paralyzation off on Entei, just like that. And it'll be in a decent shape for snagging. I probably should start throwing balls at it now. Hope I get lucky in that. This is definitely not an ideal situation. I would want his health much lower before starting to snag, but because of that whole Shadow Rush, and the fact that he does a freaking lot of damage, the sooner I can snag this Entei, the better. Now, ideally, I should start throwing the timer balls, but I did have my doubts during this battle of whether timer balls work, based on how long the Pokemon is out, or how long the battle itself has gone on. Because if it's the latter, then the timer ball should be at least as strong as a Great Ball at this point, if not as strong as an Ultra Ball. So in my head I was thinking I'll try to wait a little bit longer before chucking the timer balls. I'll wait as long as I can so I can get the maximum catching rate from a timer ball for sure. And a timer ball is even stronger than an Ultra Ball if the battle goes on for 40 turns, I believe. Now, I'm not counting how long the battle itself has gone on, but I know that this Entei hasn't even been out for 10 turns, so if it's based on how long the Pokemon's out, it wouldn't be any stronger than a Pokeball. Then again, this is all off the top of my head, so the exact numbers and statistics and all the Poke-nerdy stuff about timer balls may not be perfect. I may actually be a human being. Just maybe. So let's keep throwing the Ultra Balls on it. This is about the ideal range. Sure, red is nice, but the fact that things have Shadow Rush in this game and is paralyzed and not asleep kinda means I don't have the pleasure of working in the red zone without the possibility of the Pokemon killing itself, which is very likely. It's happened at least 3 times already. Maybe 2, and maybe 2 times, but this is at least the 5th attempt against the boss, so does that mean I'm trying to do math when I should be talking? But we're kind of at the point where it's just keep healing the Pokemon so they don't die while throwing balls at it with the other Pokemon. So after this particular snag attempt, we're just gonna cut out some of the filler of the battle, because there's not really gonna be much that happens besides what I show from now on. Yes, it does Fire Blast. It's probably gonna hit Dark Knight. It's gonna do damage. And oh, plot twist! Dark Knight gets burned. And Fire type can't get burned, so that kinda sucks. But it was paralyzed anyways. And burn would not be ideal for this Fairy type situation anyways. Okay, narrow it down just a little more. Okay, that's too close. It's in the red. We're playing on the tips of the balls right now. We're kind of like standing on all the thumbtacks with the pointed end up, carefully tiptoeing to avoid casualty, while throwing these Ultra Balls at the Entei over and over. And oh, come on! It was so freaking close! Even the dialogue text acknowledges that. And it's gonna do freaking Shadow Rush. Oh my gosh. This is way too close. It's over. If I don't... Oh my gosh, it's gonna use Shadow Rush. And it's gonna kill itself. It's over. Phew! Yeah, I am next to certain that if it didn't get fully paralyzed, and if it did Shadow Rush, that it would be over. This is where I realize I have no other option. I have to try the Timer Ball. Because the Ultra Balls are not working. And if that Entei gets one more Shadow Rush, it's probably gonna KO itself. And I do not feel like doing this battle again. Yes! It's over. It's finally over. Dakum has been defeated. We get a crud load of money, but let me give you a taste of what you didn't see, the attempts besides this one. Here's just a little clip to show you how much Akazuka should do to an Entei. Very minimum amount, right? This is how much it actually does to the Entei when it matters. Just a little secret power first to whittle it down, hopefully get the paralyzation net. And watch how much Akazuka does to Entei now. Freaking critical! And it takes out the Entei. You see here, folks. If I did not get a critical, I would have not taken out the Entei. I have visual evidence of this. Reset! Oh boy, this one is fabulous. Hope you had a keen eye. What I did with Yang. Now watch me throw the Ultra Ball here with the other Pokemon. In case you didn't catch it, the move was Detect. You know, the move that protects you from any damage and doesn't fail unless you use it multiple times in a row. Freaking Detect fails! Fabulous! And this is gonna be icing on the cake! Look at that, Yang doesn't even go down, but... Entei takes itself out, all because of a glitch or technical oversight in the programming of Pokemon Colosseum. It is freaking glorious. The way you handle those Pokemon with your audacious skill. Who are you? Hello there, minions we've defeated. Whoa, scrub, you're hopelessly outclassed against him. The percentages of winning were below 0, they were -10. Ah, lab, I wonder what that's all about. More importantly, you have a sparkly right by your heel that I wish to acquire. Oh, really? Doesn't really matter how strong your Pokemon— Oh! Wes, you're not even looking at the guy talking to you. Where's your manners? Of course you look at him after he jumps away. But anyone else realize that the whole time when Dakum was talking to Wes wasn't even looking at him. It's like, nah, you're totally not worth even the effort of pointing my eyes in your general direction. And here we have Vander. I'm not sure if Dakum's awesome for slapping him in the crotch and making him fall over just from that, or if he's pathetically weak for falling over from getting slapped in the crotch. Okay, if you closely analyze the footage, it might look like he's slapping the side of his leg, but that's actually worse. I know I probably would kneel over if I got slapped in the crotch by someone that big. He probably put a lot of force into that slap too, judging from the sound effect of it. Moving off that topic though, this is the item that Vander was keeping that Cypher was after him for. Apparently the Time Flute allows people to call Celebi. But he's giving it to us, because we're just so pro and so nice like that. Can we really have something so precious? Yep, better in our hands than in the hands of the criminals, I suppose. Yay! Now Vader is telling us about Mount Battle and how we can use it to train once he gets it set up later. There is a reason to do Mount Battle, besides just training, but it's incredibly tedious, and the reward you don't get until you purify all the Pokemon in the game, even in the post-game. But we got Steel Wing, which is a pretty nice move. Too bad I don't have any Pokemon that can learn it. And since I'm planning on just covering the main game, we're not going to be worrying about Mount Battle. Maybe someday, when Pokemon Colosseum is long done, and I decide to cover the post-game, we'll do it then. But I don't know, it's a very tedious process, and now that Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and a bunch of other games are out, the reward's not as worthwhile as the one in Pokemon XD. Oh, wait a minute. You just slid, good sir. I dare you to explain yourself for this. Really, did you have anything to do with this? I guess I'll be taking this guy in for questioning, and in the next episode of Pokemon Colosseum, we'll head back to a gay village. Which is why it would be nice if I could take out that hammer up! Hammer up! Did I really just call that a hammer up? This is the item that the Cyber minions were after Vader for. Or Vander. Ba-da-dum, only if he was Vader, maybe then he would singing slapped in the tater. It might have not hurt so bad, falling over like a ragdoll man.